right, thanks everybody. Welcome to the panel here. As you heard, my name is Greg Kihlstrom. I'm the host of the Agile Brand podcast. Also work with Fortune 1000s on MarTech investments and operationalizing those investments. Today, we're going to talk about AI. I'm sure you've heard a lot about AI already last few days. Lots of stuff going on in the vendor showcases as well. But there's a lot of ways that AI can help improve marketing, improve customer service, improve even our ability to analyze and understand data. But there's also a lot of hype, right? We can't really escape that. So today, though, we're going to talk about real ways and practical ways to get beyond the buzz and talk about how AI can help our marketing, our customer experience, and our brands in the real world. But first, let's do a brief round of introductions. Why don't we start with you?
Yep, great. Good morning, Rachel Frederick. I'm the VP GM of eCom at Sur La Table. Quick background, my history is a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. First half of my career, industrial engineering, product management, business operations, consulting. I was in manufacturing and technology, and now in retail, working for brands such as eBay, Gap, Banana, Old Navy, Athleta, and now Sur La Table.
Hi everybody, Suruchi. I run marketing at Minted. And for those of you who don't know us, Minted is a design-led marketplace, and you would use us for a lot of your premium stationery needs, your wedding invitations, your holiday cards. We also play in the home decor space, so you can come and buy some premium, unique artwork, paintings, sculptures, things like that from us.
Morning, everyone. I'm Steve Curiel. I'm the director or the chief technology officer at Jungle Scout. And for those of you that may not have heard of Jungle Scout, we're the leading Amazon competitive intelligence company. And before that, I spent a decade at Amazon. I'd led the FBA teams, helped launch features like Fulfill Prime, hold the patent for that, and also helped lead some of the retail teams there.
And I'm Jeff Cooper. I'm the director of data science at Stitch Fix. If you don't know us, we're an online styling service where clients come to work with our stylists. We're well known for our combination of art and science, using AI models to help our stylists make the best decisions for helping our clients get dressed in the morning. I spent some time previously at a number of other e-commerce companies, FabFitFun, Tradesy, as well as Disney.
Great. So let's dive in here. So first of all, those of you that know a lot about AI know that it is a very broad topic. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it, a lot of different categories of AI even. We've been hearing a lot about generative AI because of things like ChatGPT and others. But there's other aspects as well, things like predictive analytics, things like workflow automation. Those things have been around for decades. And what we're going to talk about a few of these today. But the first question, and Rachel, I'll give this to you first. What types of AI have you had initial success with, and could you provide a little detail on how you're using them?
Sure. I think you touched on a lot that we are using, have used, or I've used in the past. Predictive analytics, machine learning, deep learning, right? The tactics of it, Bloomreach, for example, for smart site search, merch, product recommendations. Been using that since 2017, at least. Things like Content Square, customer behavioral analytics, being able to identify friction, understanding what the impact is or the opportunity to help prioritize. Of course, things like, email, subject line, testing and learning a lot there through AI. And I would say more of like the Gen AI, creating tools that help deflect Wizmo calls for customer service. That's something that we've done. Voice response systems through Gen AI, as well as looking at things like creating enviro lifestyle assets by using product images and being able to give a prompt to say, yes, here's a Dutch oven product image, but now I want you to create another image that has it on a stovetop with a stew. Now give me another image that has that same Dutch oven, different colors, sitting on a cutting board with a loaf of bread, right? It's just showing the diversity of a product, and it may be very seasonally relevant. So, through that Gen AI, we're actually able to create more assets very quickly and cost efficiently, if you will. So that's something else that we're doing as well.
Yeah, that's great. Suruchi, how about you?
Yeah, there's some of the basic use cases like using it for SEO articles, email subject lines. So I thought I'll talk about 4 cases for us that are slightly different, 2 of which we are doing using AI for, and 2 of which are my wish list. And if anybody here wants to help me build it, that'd be amazing. The first one for us, with Minted, when you're building your holiday cards, people upload their images. And in the past, they used to reach out to our customer service team, asking them their help for retouching. They want to remove a car from the background, some things like that. Now, this past holiday season, we brought in Adobe's Firefly, which I don't know how many people have seen that. People have been demoing it, but it actually does things like background expansion, filling, retouching seamlessly, like within seconds. And that actually really helped our design services team. Their bandwidth really opened up in a time in Q4 when they're bombarded with requests like that. So that's the first one. The second one, very similar to what you were talking about, in our art space, when we do PDP imagery, we actually partnered with a company called Cloudinary. I think they're here. They built a unique service for us where we can do the base image shooting, but they then help us generate images in situ. So for an art product or a painting, people actually want to see it, and the sizes are important, where it's placed on the sofa and stuff is important, but we don't have the bandwidth or the resources to shoot so many setups. And so that service has been fantastic for us to use this Gen AI used in a very different way. The 2 use cases, though, that's on my wish list, and I wish we were doing it. The first one is dynamic pricing. That's something I feel like the airline industry has been doing it for I don't know how many years. Right. But in retail, we're still kind of showing every single person the exact same pricing, no matter the demand for the product, the need, the willingness to pay. And I feel like we've kind of done a little bit of this through promotions, like the dynamic promotions, but even those signals are not as strong. So if somebody came to me and said, oh, Greg's taking a flight and needs a white shirt tonight, he might actually be willing to pay $5 more. Right. So how do we start to think about retail that way? The second one for me, and this is really top of mind, is how do we build a hyper-personalized dynamic site experience? I think we've talked about dynamic landing pages for I don't know how many years, but the journey itself is not personalized for me. So if in Minted's case, if somebody came to our site, took a quiz, and told me what is the theme or vibe of their wedding and what sort of products they're leaning towards, could I help them build their vision as they're going through the journey, the purchase journey, and wouldn't that be the right way to go shop? So I think those are like 2 of my things that we're saying, can AI help us there?
Yeah. Well, love hearing about the personalized journey stuff. That's super exciting. Stephen, how about you?
So one of the hardest things for people selling on Amazon, there's over 500 million products. There's 24,000 categories that you're trying to sell, and just a vast amount of data. And you're trying to figure out what's going on. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges I have. And AI has been really cool for that. So we train almost like 100,000 models every week that go through and help estimate the sales of products, help figure out what the keyword search volumes are, figure out trending search volumes. And we go and collect all the advertising keywords as well and find out where you're ranking for your sponsored, organic, inorganic. And what you can go do is start putting all that together using AI and getting really interesting insights. You can go see how are you ranking compared to your competitors, how much market share do you have. Like you may know you're growing your sales 100% year over year and think you're doing great, but what if your whole category is growing at 400% and you're actually losing the market? And you can be completely blind to that. And so you can go through and start showing that, start putting that together. It's really interesting. And then you can actually start layering that on. You can go see how are you doing for your ad spend and how much are your competitors doing? Are you getting outspent? Are you getting outbid? And actually start seeing that in real time and adjusting your campaigns. And it's been really powerful, just like the amount of data you can go pull together. And we found that companies that go and use this data for a year grow their business over 367%. So it's like really tractionable for businesses. It's really powerful.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's exciting to hear all these use cases that, many of which are already in flight and others very close to be in flight as well. But as with any newer technology, there are going to be benefits as well as risks with full-scale adoption of things like Gen AI. And How it's implemented, though, can implement risk and exposure. So for instance, an internal team using tools may be a little more forgiving than a customer that sees the wrong image or the wrong placement of something. So, or gets stuck in what I call the chatbot doom loop, right? You keep answering the same question and going back and forth. So, what are the benefits and costs, or even the risks, of employee-facing versus customer-facing AI? And Jeff, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, we have been using personalization and machine learning driven tools for a long time at Stitch Fix. We've been thinking about this intersection between what are the algorithms best at and what are humans best at. So we have I think we've thought carefully about where human judgment and creativity is really necessary for the client experience versus where scale and speed and efficiency that algorithms can provide is really the best thing for the client experience. As a client-facing company, we do not want to turn over a big chunk of our experience to a chatbot that we don't control directly, in the same way as, I think about this a lot like the user-generated content moment of a few years ago. You wouldn't want to unmoderated put a feed of content that our clients are generating right onto the website. But with appropriate controls and moderations and humans in the loop and thinking about what do your clients really want to see, that can be a really powerful tool for helping to generate community and so forth. So we have a couple kinds of models, for example, where we're trying to make that balance correctly, where we are using, for our outfit completion model, the judgment and creativity of our human stylists to help train a model that can then generate tens of millions of outfits a day. We are not turning our trend predictions completely over to an algorithm where we don't have full control over which direction it might go in, but instead we're using our stylists to train a model where we really believe in its understanding of current fashion trends and where the market is going. Similarly, our stylists for our clients deliver rich, personalized advice via written notes to our clients in every box that they get. That's an important part of the experience, but also one that we can help speed up with AI. We have a new generative AI-based note template writing where our model can take past purchases from a client, make some suggestions about the kinds of things that our clients might be interested in hearing about. Stylists can then take that, ensure that they have the appropriate voice, the appropriate tone, have a last pass over that note, but it clearly saves our stylists time. We've saved more than 15% of note writing time by rolling that tool out. So those are good ways of balancing where we want to have full control over the client experience, but we also want to be able to help our employees work faster, empower them to do more. We've already heard a little bit about being able to do more with the same amount of time using some of these tools.
Yeah. Suruchi, how about?
I think Jeff talked about a lot of the benefits of it, so I thought maybe I'll talk about the risks. In my mind, there's two real big risks, and so there's many more. But it's the brand reputation risk that's top of mind. AI, we've all kind of heard about AI inaccuracies, AI biases. I don't know if people remember when a few years ago Google had come out and remember their AI couldn't recognize certain faces as humans. Like the brand reputation damage risk is so high that we have to be very careful about how much AI is being used. And you really cannot put anything AI generated out there without verifying it, right? So that's the biggest one for me. There's also that the brands can come across as robotic and lose that human touch. So that I think is the biggest customer-facing risk that we weigh on. Internally, though, there is the employee morale and engagement risk that's becoming very real. People are they're resisting adopting AI because of the risk to their jobs. So how do you start to really educate the org on any of these AI tools can really be productivity enhancing tools and don't have to be about workforce reduction in any way. That I think is the two risks in my mind.
Yeah, that's great. So one of the things that I find really exciting about AI in general is that there's a lot of large brands here. There's also some startups and some smaller companies. And while it may look different, how it helps, it's able to help organizations of any size, really, and as well as audiences for those companies as well. So panelists here, represent a range of audiences and use cases. But question here, and Stephen, we'll start with you. How have you seen AI's ability to either scale to the enterprise level or help small businesses scale to compete with those larger orgs?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question because we have customers that have never sold an e-commerce product before and sort of a small, medium-sized business product. And we also have an enterprise product. And so we see enterprise up to the Fortune 5 that use it and sort of like all in between. There's a bunch of really cool features. We talked about some of the generative AI. There's a lot that help people become more productive and save time. For the small businesses that are just starting selling on Amazon, one of the biggest things is product imaging is a real challenge as you're getting started. You don't have a photographer, you don't know how to get it done, you have to go find someone. Lots of times they might not be near you and you ship it off and it's thousands of dollars invested before you even know it's successful. The last couple of products that I launched, I actually took a picture with my phone, used AI to remove the background and change the lighting, and then used it to create a lifestyle image where it generates it, and it's pretty good. It actually converted better. I tried one with a photographer, and the AI image converted better than with a photographer in a studio because it was able to create a more compelling lifestyle photo. And they're getting better by the day. Like every week that comes out, like they keep improving. And so it's kind of crazy seeing that. On the enterprise side, I think the big opportunity they have is a lot of enterprise teams have a lot more capabilities and capacity to go and actually dig deep into the data and use the data. A lot of SMBs, like we have multiple people on our team that are sellers and are running 7- and 8-figure businesses with a few hours a week because they can go use AI to go do this. And so we have someone who's actually going to be getting close to $50 million in sales, doing it as their part-time job as they work for us, which is pretty incredible. And so you see that side of the efficiency. And then on the enterprise side, there's a lot more specializations, especially having like the access to a data team or data analysts that let you go a lot deeper. And because a lot of the enterprise products are smaller catalogs selling a lot more volume, and you can go a lot deeper and really optimize those. And what we're seeing is people that weren't data analysts, that weren't data scientists, can now use AI to go write queries, to go generate, to go analyze what's going on, and get really interesting insights doing it. And it's really opening up like the whole data analysts and data analytics to like almost everyone on our team. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the citizen data scientist, right? It's real. So yeah, definitely. Well, and building on that, the data is definitely a foundation of good AI. Anyone that's worked in that knows that, if you garbage in, garbage out, right? So there's other hurdles though to potentially harnessing the full power of AI, and let's talk a little bit about that. So, what do you need to get started in AI? And Suruchi, why don't we start with you?
Actually, let me ask an audience question. How many people in the audience have played with at least one AI tool at this point? Yeah, and so I asked this question 6 months ago, and the hands were like half of it.
Right.
I do think that is really the key. You bring an open mind and a testing mentality to really get started in AI. The world of Gen AI is just exploding. Like every month, there's 10 new tools that show up. So I think our biggest factor that comes in is inertia. Like how do we even get started? So find those champions in your org is how we did this. 6 months ago, my team was struggling with the same thing. Where do we start? And so we found a boot camp, and I attended the boot camp. It was like a 12-hour boot camp spread over a few days. We took a few of the marketing folks there. They all got exposed to many tools. They brought that back into the organization. And I think it's also giving your organization the permission to go experiment without having that expectation of performance immediately. So people started to play with it, and organically that adoption started. So I think it's more about using AI as a starting point and not immediately putting any expectations and goals around it is important for me.
Yeah, that's great. Rachel, how about you?
Yeah, I love that. I echo for sure. I think just you do need the champions. I think you need the folks that are just generally curious naturally, exactly. Right? They tend to be the ones who gravitate easier, faster. Yeah. And I also like encouraging people to use it for things like presentation, creating decks, right? There are already like a lot of tools out there that enable things like that, as opposed to you don't have to jump straight into a Gen AI business, approach. Also, definitely making sure that people understand Gen AI tools specifically require learning, so it's not going to be great out the gate. It's going to evolve. Change can be really hard for people, so I think just general change management is important, and really aligning goals across the organization of what this means, what we're doing, and continue to evolve is, a must, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, just to highlight the change management part, I mean, I think it's so easy to focus on the technology and focus on the cool stuff that we'll be able to do, but it really is the change. It so happens I work in that area, so maybe I'm a little close to it, but it's so key when we have people worried about losing their jobs or worried about their jobs changing and things like that, so absolutely. Jeff, how about you?
Yeah, I want to pick up on the thread that both Shuchi and Rachel talked about. One of the differences between AI and machine learning tools before the generative AI era is that you really needed a phenomenal amount of data to get started. And there are many kinds of applications of AI where you still benefit from having a lot of data. So for us, we have billions and billions of text data points from our clients asking for particular things, requesting particular things, where we can now use generative AI tools to process that data in a really efficient way, transform it into something machine readable or summarized for our stylists. So we get more benefit out of our historical data using these generative tools than we used to. It's always better to have more data from your clients and to understand them better. But one of the key differences in these newer tools is you don't need to have billions of data points to get started with them. With our outfit tool, for example, we're using a fairly small number of stylists' time to train the model on our specific data, our specific clients, our specific trends. That doesn't require a huge amount of historical data. It requires a small number of committed people who are interested in using the tool and have expertise in the domain, have some willingness to experiment, to measure correctly, what they're doing. So I think much of the data collection has already happened for these large-scale generative tools. You don't need to worry about collecting your own billions of data points to get started with some of them, but you do need to be able to bring your expertise and your data and find people in your organization who are willing to help teach those models as to what they can do for your clients. So as with any technical investment, knowing what your clients are looking for is kind of the key starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. And as evidenced by the show of hands here, there's been a lot of testing of tools. Probably a lot of us started on ChatGPT or others, but with all of that, there's this reconciliation that kind of needs to happen. Businesses need to be smart about their investments. Different teams can't be using different tools to do the same work. So one of the tools to be able to do that is to determine, what is the return on investment of investments in AI. So I wanted to ask, how do you look at determining ROI with AI investments, and how much reconciliation is needed now to solidify all this testing of different tools that's been going on? And Suruchi, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that we're just starting to scratch the surface in this one. I'm sure the science of data measurement is going to develop here. But for me right now, I think of it as no different than any other investment that we make, right? So the ROI either shows up as efficiency gains, cost savings, or conversion improvements and revenue lifts. And it depends on what you're using the AI for, which use case. When we look at engineering and can we run QA through AI, like regression testing is an easy use case. And it's all about then an increase in throughput on the engineering side. That's your ROI measurement. Customer service, I know a lot of people are using it for that. We are looking at, of course, the call durations, but over time it's about can we actually replace some of the agents? So it becomes a staffing discussion. In marketing, we're running 2 or 3 things. One is A/B testing. You have to run AI-generated text next to a copywriter's text and see, do you get enough click-through rate conversion improvements? And we're starting to see that, right? That's actually quite measurable from an ROI perspective. We're actually also doing a head-to-head test with a targeting AI-driven targeting company, Pixis, and it's all about, is your media starting to perform better? So some of the ROI calculations become pretty visible very quickly, but so it's all about testing it and not trusting blindly that AI is just better. We have seen instances where AI actually did not perform as great as what our brand team created. So right now we're very much in that testing and learning phase. So no concrete data, but I did come across this study, which I thought was quite interesting. Microsoft did a study with 2,000 people who were, who had adopted AI, and the number, 95% of them said, on an average, they see a 3.5x return on every dollar they spend in AI. So measurability is very real. I think it's just you have to start thinking about what is that ROI you're looking for in the beginning. Testing is the way to go.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, one quick last question. I'm going to open this up to anybody. What's something that surprised you about AI and this year that you weren't expecting?
I'll give one, the rate of pace of change and how quickly it's been commoditized. You think about like the internet took 40 years to get mass adoption. The personal computer took a decade. AI has taken months.
Weeks.
And weeks. And you're seeing breakthroughs on the scale of it's not years apart, they're happening weeks apart. And it's almost commoditized now. Yeah. You go look at the number of models that are almost as efficient as OpenAI's models, and they're maybe a couple months behind, and it's all across the board. It's just incredible, the pace of change.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I think that's a great way to wrap up here. So thank you so much to our panelists, and thank you.
Great.